We have a very limited amount of time here, and thankfully we have three people on stage, who actually don't need an introduction, Masha, Nadia, and Peter of Pussi Riot. So I want to just jump right into something there's going to be a lot of talk, and there has been a lot of talk about political conditions in Russia. And I want to talk about prison conditions. Obviously, this is something that you guys have been working on. When I was in New York, you were there, at Rikers Island. And this is from a prison letter from Nadia. I'll read this very quickly. About the conditions for other prisoners. They're lied to, they're stuffed into vehicles by force, they're refused a hearing, they're pressured, they're destroyed. What is human in them is destroyed. People are turned into cowed beasts. And I admit, yes, I fear for my fate, because I don't know what will happen to me tonight. Give us a sense of, we all know about the trial. You disappear for 2 years into the modern version of the Gulag. Give us a sense of what that's like.
Это похоже на место, где люди работают по 16 часов, они моются раз в неделю, представьте. Раз в неделю.
It feels like a place where people, first of all, work for 16 hours a day. They take showers once a week. Just imagine that, once a week.
И если ты вдруг решишь помыться, то ты будешь очень сильно наказан, как и будет сильно наказан весь твой отряд. Собственно, это то, что превращает человека в такое подобие человека, особенно спустя 10 лет нахождения в подобном месте. Особенно если у тебя нет поддержки, которая была, к счастью, у нас, но которой нет у большинства нынешних заключенных.
And if you decide to take a shower more than once a week, then you're going to be brutally punished, and everyone around you is going to be punished as well. So basically, conditions like that in 10 years, say, really take all the human out of you. So, and people who don't have support from outside and don't have the support that we have, they are in very bad condition.
In brutally punished, we're talking about physical punishment.
Но речь идет о наказании как об одиночном заключении, сначала на 15 суток, а потом на полгода.
Well, this end, but mostly it's putting people in isolation for 15 days for the start, and then up to half a year to continue.
Также они обязывают людей доносить друг на друга, и если ты не будешь выполнять поручения администрации, то люди оказываются в очень сложном положении. Они могут освободиться досрочно, если они не доносят, а иногда и не бьют других людей.
They also make people tell each other, and if you refuse to tell and cooperate with the administration, then you are put in a very difficult condition when the prison administration just starts treating you as an offender for just not cooperating and working with them, and not sometimes physically assaulting other people at the order of the administration.
Но это похоже на то, как государство в целом работает.
So, and it basically really feels like how a state could function.
Если, например, тебя заподозрили в том, что ты вынес хлеб, нельзя выносить хлеб из столовой, то у тебя ставят стол на центральной площади колонии, и ты вынужден съесть 3 буханки хлеба на глазах всей колонии.
For example, if there would be the suspicion that you're taking bread out of the cafeteria, and you can't take that, you can't take bread out of the cafeteria, then your punishment is they would put 3 loaves of bread in front of you, and you would have to eat that all.
In front of all people from a prison camp.
And you have to eat all the bread in front.
You have to eat 3 bread, and other 1,000 people just look at you while you're eating.
You said to me, we talked the other night, last night, and we were talking about age, and we won't reveal that. I said, how old are you? You told me your age, and you said, but I'm actually 50 because I spent 2 years in a Russian prison. I mean, it has a sense of that, for the outsider, is nothing too different than, reading Ivan Denisovich, the Solzhenitsyn book. It's that kind of modern type of gulag. Let's go back a little bit to the point where you are arrested, and the reason you're arrested, the punk prayer in the church. My favorite thing, and I'm so proud of you for getting charged with hooliganism motivated by religious hatred, which is terrific. And you were there, performed for a few minutes, basically. I mean, this was not
For 40 seconds.
For 40 seconds
total.
For 40 seconds, and you get 2 years because of this. Now, the response to this in Russia, what was the internal response? Polling is difficult, but I saw one poll that said 5% of people in Russia supported you. In the others, it was various types of, prison sentence, hard labor, probation or something.
Начать с процента тех людей, которые нас знают.
No, first of all, I have to start from the percentage of people who actually knew about the case.
Потому что если мы отъедем от Москвы подальше, то они просто слышали о каких-то неких девушках, которые танцевали в храме голыми с курицами.
Because, if you go a little outside from Moscow, you would talk to people and you would hear them say that about some girls who danced in an inappropriate way in a church naked with chickens. So it gets really mythological.
Yeah.
People just don't know.
But that didn't happen. Right? Just to be
Первые 2 часа уходят на то, чтобы просто доказать, что не существует никаких куриц, и это ошибка.
So for the first 2 hours, you have to convince people that there are no chickens, they weren't naked.
И только потом мы переходим к концептуальному искусству.
And only then you can get to like the art, protests, and all the other part in talking with people about it.
I mean, how is it like ideologically? I mean, you guys are, very, very involved in prison reform. You're very involved in gay rights issues, which is obviously hugely controversial in Russia. And you're feminists. And I mean, how is that the problem in a lot of ways? Is it the ideology that is so alien and so foreign and people react so negatively to?
Ну, люди у нас бьют геев, да, это правда. Если кто-то пытается организовать гей-парад, то их избивают даже когда они не развернули символику до конца.
Well, gay rights is difficult in Russian. If you try to do gay parade, chances are you're going to be hit before even starting the gay parade or before unfolding your flag.
Physically assault.
Yes, physically assault.
Yeah.
Да, чтобы представить отношение к феминизму, достаточно упомянуть, наверное, того, что когда на суде мы спросили нашего потерпевшего, какие бранные слова мы конкретно произносили, он ответил слово «феминистка».
To imagine the relationship towards feminism in court, when we asked one of the witnesses of the accusation of the prosecution towards what obscenities did we say in church, his answer was feminism.
That was the obscenity.
Yeah, that was the obscenity said in
General
church.
obscenity.
Yes, it's a bad
feminism
word.
in
You
church.
can't say that word in
Yeah,
church.
yeah.
Ну или, например, глава Крыма, который недавно заявил о том, что гей-парадов в его регионе не будет никогда.
Or, for example, the head of the Crimean government who recently said that in his region, in Crimea, there will never be any gay parades.
Ну или, например, мега популярный ведущий в наше время Дмитрий Киселев, который сказал о том, что сердца геев надо сжигать.
Or, for example, a quote by Russia's most prominent news host, Dmitry Kislov, who said that the hearts of gay men should be taken out and burned.
Еще он, кстати, предлагал превратить вашу страну в радиоактивный пепел.
And he also suggested turning the United States into radioactive dust.
Oh, that's great. Well, one thing at a time. It's an incredible thing that the vanguard of opposition to Putin, and there's a lot of people here that are involved in this movement, and incredibly brave people. The vanguard of this in so many ways are artists. I mean, I've seen, like yesterday, you have this Peter, I can't recall his name, who cut his ear off protesting the use of psychiatric care, which is a very Soviet thing to do. Vladimir Bukovsky was a victim of this. To punish people and punish people politically. Why do you find that it is, people within your community, young people that are sort of, artists like yourselves? I mean, Pussi Riot's more of an art collective than a band, right?
Yes.
Это правда. Мне кажется, это не новая вещь для России. В начале 20 века авангардисты достаточно много вещей делали, важных для России, в том числе и политически.
Well, art being in the avant-garde of political and social movements in Russia is not really a new thing. In the early 20th century, the futurist avant-gardists who are world famous now, they were also did a lot of very important political and social things. So there were basically this is a very Russian concept to be out there like that.
But not only Russian. For example, Clash and Sex Pistols did so much to our English political system.
Yeah.
It's normal.
It is normal, and but less so in Russia. I mean, there are fewer people like you in Russia. I mean, there are a lot of people filling the shoes. I mean, there are other people within the collective. I mean, has this died out? Did it have an effect on people? That look, you guys go to prison for 2 years. You just described what it was like in prison for 2 years. Did it affect people and say, maybe we'll calm down. Maybe we won't do that.
Смирило ли людей, 2 года? Был ли пример для активистов в качестве типа
Я не думаю, наоборот.
Well, I wouldn't say. I think the contrary happened.
For example, Petr Pavlensky started to make his action publicly when we were in prison, and his first public action was Free Pussi Riot action, and he sued his mouth.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
that was
stand
in
in front
response to the
church
jailing.
in St. Petersburg with this banner Free Pussy Riot.
Поэтому все время говорим о том, что те люди, которые решаются на что-то в России, о них нужно говорить, потому что это придает им уверенности и вдохновляет других людей.
So, well, we say that it's very important to talk a lot about people who decide to do brave and active things in Russia, because it gives them courage, it shows a bright example to other people. You just have to talk about people who dare to do things.
Well, I don't suspect that Vladimir Putin thought at any point that you would be with Madonna and Henry Rollins last week, and this would backfire in his face, as it has. We have very little time left. Let's get to your most recent project, which is a news outlet in a country that barely has free media anymore. Tell us a little bit about that.
Наша медиазона освещает вопрос, который связан с лишением свободы. Полиция, суды, тюрьмы. И наша задача дать как можно более полную и объективную информацию об этом.
So the news outlet that we opened called Mediazona, it covers police, courts, problems of people, government taking people's freedom away in any cases, in just or unjust cases. So basically, our goal was to provide the Russian people a lot of adequate information, a lot of objective information on all those issues, and we felt that was really important.
I think it's not only for Russian people, because we now are working on English version and collaboration maybe with some English outlets. So.
And it's been 3 months, right?
Well, the website was active for basically a month.
But has there been any response from the criminals in the Kremlin? Is there any pressure from the thugs and the horrible people?
Ну, они просто прослушки поставили к нам в офис и следят за нами. Это пока нормально.
Well, they bug the office and they keep control of you all the time. So far, yet it's been okay. Small things.
Yeah. Just bugging of the office and threatening you and physically threatening you. So beyond this, we have obviously this media project within Russia. You guys are traveling pretty consistently. What's forthcoming for Pussi Riot?
Будущее.
Господи.
Какие будущие проекты ближайшие?
It's quite impossible to talk about future projects because even if we not talk about these projects, our spies, yes, they knew about it, and they try to realize some of these projects by themselves. For example, we discovered just recently that our system of correction, our Department of Correction, started a new project which is similar to our project.
It's
today.
completely the same project.
So basically, the Russian prison system just stole our idea and now is implementing it.
Being plagiarized by the
Yes.
Russian prison. Okay, well, that's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing,
I guess.
basically. You can say it's good.
Well, we are...
Им надо Пусси Райот акции просто у нас в какой-то момент спереть, и тогда у них будет все лучше.
Masha's saying, well, they have to start stealing ideas for Pussy Riot actions from them, the government. Then everything will become much better.
Yeah, I think...
В некотором смысле они это сделали. Правда, в Крыму почему-то они не в ярких шапках были, а в черных. Они что-то перепутали.
In some point they did that, but in Crimea, all the balaclava-clad people were in dark hats, not bright hats, but they should have used them bright.
Ну и форма у всех была одинаковая.
Yes, and everyone had the same uniform, unidentified.
Well, we are unfortunately out of time because there's that very evil-looking clock counting down to 10 right now. But I just want to say that for you out there, if you have a chance to watch a documentary called Pussi Riot, A Punk Prayer, do so. Because, we're in a room full of people where, there are a lot of heroes. And people do heroic things, they're brave people, but this isn't common, obviously. There's very few heroes. And to see these two women being attacked by hideous prosecutors and bravely standing up and just basically spitting in their faces is an absolute wonder to watch. And thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm clapping for you.